All right, let's talk about a deal that is completely shaking up the clothing industry. We're diving into a merger that's creating a new giant in the world of everyday apparel, and we're going to break down exactly what it means for everyone. Go ahead and check the tags in your closet right now. Chances are you've got something from one, if not both, of these companies. We're talking Gildan and HanesBrands. They are the absolute titans of the basics world. The t-shirts, the socks, the underwear we all live in. They're everywhere. And here it is, the big headline. These two massive, powerful competitors are joining forces to become a single company. So what's really happening here? Let's get into the details of this agreement, because it's a pretty big one. Okay, so the big day was August 13th, 2025. That's when Gildan, which is a beast when it comes to manufacturing, announced it was buying HanesBrands, home to some of the most famous clothing brands out there. And this isn't just a simple purchase, it's a strategic play to create a true global leader. The whole thing is expected to be finalized by early 2026. To really wrap your head around just how huge this is, you have to look at the numbers. Trust me, they tell a fascinating story all on their own. First up, the price tag. A jaw-dropping $4.4 billion. And get this, that number isn't just for the company itself. It also includes Gildan taking on all of HanesBrands' existing debt. This is easily one of the biggest deals the apparel world has seen in a long, long time. So, how do you get thousands of investors to agree to sell their shares? Well, you make them an offer they can't refuse. Gildan offered a price that was 24% higher than what the stock was worth right before the announcement. That's a serious incentive to get everybody on board and make the deal happen fast. But here's the kicker. This deal isn't just about getting bigger, it's about getting smarter. The new combined company believes it can save $200 million every single year. In business speak, they call these synergies. Basically, it's all the money they'll save by combining operations, from factories to shipping. It's about becoming not just larger, but way more efficient. And that brings us to the why. Beyond the huge numbers, why are these two companies who are fierce competitors suddenly deciding to team up? What's the strategy here? Think of it like a perfect match of two totally different superpowers. On one hand, you've got Gildan, the undisputed champion of making stuff. They're vertically integrated, which is a fancy way of saying they control everything from the cotton field to the finished t-shirt. It makes them super efficient. On the other side, you've got HanesBrands, with its famous, iconic brand names and its deep connections with all the major stores. It's basically manufacturing muscle meeting brand name power. So for Gildan, this is a straight-up power move. Their CEO, Glenn Chamandy, put it plainly. The deal doubles their revenue and gives them a scale that, as he says, distinctly sets us apart. They get to take all those famous HanesBrands and pump them through their incredibly efficient production system. Now, for HanesBrands, the story is a little different. It's really about finding stability. The company had been struggling financially, and they even had to sell off their famous Champion brand. So for them, this deal is a lifeline. Their CEO, Steve Bratsby's, basically says they need Gildan's manufacturing strength to help bring their own legendary brands back to full power. A merger this huge doesn't happen in a bubble, right? It sends shockwaves or a ripple effect all across the industry. So what does this actually mean for all the other players, the competitors, the stores, and even for us? The impact is going to be felt everywhere. For other apparel companies, it means you now have a much bigger, much more efficient competitor. And with $200 million in savings, this new giant could start slashing prices, putting insane pressure on everyone else. And for all the smaller brands out there, well, it just got a whole lot harder to fight for space on the shelf. But hold on, it's not all smooth sailing from here. Far from it. Merging two gigantic corporations is unbelievably complicated, and there are some serious hurdles this new company has to overcome. Let's look at what's ahead. The success of a merger is never, ever guaranteed. First up, they have to get approval from government antitrust regulators, who are there to make sure one company doesn't get too powerful. Then comes the really messy part, trying to blend two totally different company cultures, two massive global supply chains, and two separate computer systems. And all the while, their competitors are just waiting for them to slip up. One industry analyst really nailed it when they said the question isn't if this deal will make waves, it already has.
The real question is how far those ripples are going to travel. And that brings us to the final, most important question. And so, this is what it all comes down to. On paper, this merger creates an absolute monster of an apparel company with a scale and efficiency that seems unbeatable. But, history is littered with massive mergers that just collapsed under their own weight. So will Gildan and HanesBrands create a new industry champion? Or will the sheer difficulty of putting these two giants together prove to be their biggest downfall? That is the billion-dollar question that everyone is going to be watching.